VEVOR 400W Wind Turbine Generator promises off-grid power from thin air. Either we've reached budget-friendly wind independence or we're staring at another backyard disappointment that spins a lot and delivers a little. On paper, it's rated 400W, 12V or 24V, low startup around 2.5 ms, nylon fiber blades, aluminum alloy body, and a smart controller that supposedly protects your batteries. Sounds criminally generous for the price tier, but here's the thing, wind math doesn't care about marketing. Here's what caught my attention and what didn't add up. I mounted this on a 30-foot mast, ran an anemometer, a DC shunt meter, and datalogged everything for 3 windy weeks on a coastal ridge. I've put the direct link to check current pricing in the description, but before you click anything, let me show you what I discovered after 3 weeks of testing. Let's set expectations. VEVOR claims this little 400W turbine will deliver meaningful charging at low wind speeds, run quietly, install easily, and survive the elements with minimal fuss. The big promises I kept seeing. 400W rated power at strong winds, with usable output even in light breezes. Low startup wind speed around 2.5 ms for earlier spin-up and charging. Intelligent controller for battery protection and automatic braking. Durable blades and housing for all-weather performance. Sounds great, right? Pretty bold claims for a budget turbine, but here's where things get interesting. Reality check. They claim 400W, what you actually get is short peaks near 100-150W in gusts, with typical sustained output in normal 10-15 mph winds hovering between 15-60W. Here's why. Wind power scales with the cube of wind speed and the swept area of the rotor. With a rotor diameter around 1.2 to 1.3 meters, you're looking at roughly 1.1-1.3 square meters of area. At 5 ms, 11.2 mph, the total power available in the wind over that area is about 80-95 W with a realistic efficiency. Bet's limit is 59.3%. Small turbines often do 25-35%, you're only harvesting 20-30 W. So the idea of big charging at low wind, mathematically impossible. They claim low startup at 2.5 ms, what you actually get is spinning at low wind, but spin does not equal charge. In my logs, the turbine began rotating around 5-6 mph, but net positive charging didn't become meaningful until 9-10 mph. Below that, the controller overhead and battery voltage threshold mean you're basically watching a kinetic fidget spinner. They claim 400W rated power. Reality. That number is measured at a high wind speed, typically around 12 ms, 26-27 mph. And yes, at that speed with perfect conditions, the math can land near 400W. But let's be real here, how often do you see sustained 25+ mph winds at hub height where you live? In my gusty coastal test, the highest clean peak I captured was 142W during a 24-26 mph gust for a few seconds. Most of the time, you'll see far less. They claim quiet operation. Reality, it's reasonably quiet up to about 15 mph. Above that, blade tip noise and a noticeable whine show up. Not jet loud, but you'll hear it. Measured at the base of the mast, I saw mid to high 40s dB in moderate wind and low 50s dB with gusts. Not offensive, but not silent. They tout an intelligent controller. Here's where it gets sketchy. The included controller in my kit behaved like a basic PWM unit, not a true MPPT. Evidence: voltage sagged hard under load and the controller did not track an optimal power point. It simply clipped and bled off excess with heat. The heat sink got quite warm during gusty periods and the brake function was more of a coarse shunt. Several user reviews echo controller failures or inconsistent behavior over time. If you care about battery health, this matters. They say easy installation. The plot twist: the mechanical assembly is straightforward, but the manual is thin, wiring diagrams are vague, and the unit expects you to supply a safe tower, proper guying, and grounding. Picture this: if you mount this on a short pole by your shed, you're not in clean air and your output will tank. Height and sighting are everything, and that's not emphasized in the marketing. Here's where things get interesting: daily energy. In a week with average winds 10-16 mph and daily gusts topping 20, I logged 160-320 watt-hours per day. That's enough to trickle charge a 12V battery bank, top off small loads, or complement solar, but it's nowhere near running appliances. For context, a single quality 200W solar panel on a decent day will beat that in many regions. Detailed breakdown, power output, and efficiency. In steady 12-14 mph wind, I saw 30-60W continuous with short bursts higher. At 18-22 mph, bursts to 80-120W were common. Translating to monthly energy, expect variability. Calm weeks could net under 1 kWh. Windy weeks might hit 5-7 kWh. Here's what nobody tells you. The turbine's best friend is consistent wind at height. If your site has trees, rooftops, or turbulence, expect less than half the brochure dreams. Build quality. The cast aluminum body and nylon fiber blades look fine, and the hub fitment was acceptable. Hardware on my unit showed light surface rust by week 3 in salty air, so add anti-seize and consider swapping critical bolts for stainless. Blade balance was okay, but not perfect. I needed an extra washer on one blade root to tame vibration above 20 mph. What the marketing doesn't mention, vibration eats mounts. Use a proper tower with guy wires and isolation. Controller and safety. The controller feels like a budget PWM with basic dump load behavior. It does protect against overcharge, but the braking is blunt and there's limited configurability. In my tests, it often let voltage sag under surge, which wastes potential watts. Multiple reviews online mention early controller failures or erratic cut-in. I'd budget for a better controller if you're serious about long-term use. Installation and support. Assembly is quick if you've built DIY wind kits before, but the manual is sparse and support documentation is generic. Cable colors didn't match the diagram precisely in my box. Pro tip: use a proper 3-phase rectifier if you bypass the stock controller for a custom system, and always add a manual shorting brake switch for storms. Verdict: buy with caution. If you have a very windy site, a proper tall mast, and you're comfortable tinkering, the VEVOR 400W wind turbine generator can be a budget way to add a few hundred watt-hours a day to a 12V or 24V battery bank. Pros: low entry price point, easy assembly, decent blades, and it will produce in real wind. Cons: marketing oversells low wind performance, the controller is basic and runs hot, documentation is thin, and real-world output is a fraction of the headline number most of the time. If the price is around the typical 150-220 range, value is acceptable as a learning kit or solar complement. Otherwise, save your money for a quality turbine like a Primus Air 40 or, honestly, add more solar. Stay savvy out there. Thanks for watching. If this review saved you from wasting money or helped you find something actually worth buying, I've put the link to check current pricing and read more reviews in the description. And hey, if you do decide to buy through my link, it helps fund these investigations without costing you extra. Got questions about siting, towers, or hybrid wind-solar setups? Drop them in the comments. Next up, I'm stress testing a so-called 800W micro turbine that claims MPPT magic. Subscribe so you don't miss it. This is your skeptical gear friend signing off.